Welcome to Quantum Shamans, presented by MOSHI. I'm Anthony.
And I'm David. We're the founders and leaders of the Ministry of Shamanic Healing and Integration, based out of Cleveland, Ohio.
So we're here to talk about what we're doing. This is our first podcast, and we have some plans and some ideas. What we're going to do is we're going to bring in all kinds of different types of guests to come in on the show and talk about their healing methods, shamanic healing methods, and people talking about the things maybe they've been through in their own personal healings, and just get the information out into the world to show people what's possible beyond the standard medical ideas of healing and recovery. David, would you like to read our vision statement?
Sure. The Ministry of Shamanic Healing and Integration aims to help individuals heal from spiritual maladies stored as energy in the subconscious that manifests in the form of trauma, PTSD, physical illness, mental health issues, and addiction. These practices include, but are not limited to, yoga, breathwork, meditation and mindfulness practices, Reiki, sweat lodge ceremonies, sensory deprivation, sacred plants, and any other rituals we collectively decide to establish. We hold ritual ceremonies for our community to heal collectively in a safe space, as well as individual ritual healing tailored to the members of our collective for the purpose of intensive inner work. Our most important responsibility is to help our members integrate their individual collective experiences in order to ameliorate their spiritual maladies and spread love for the betterment of mankind. Our belief is that our collective consciousness is God. Every living organism has a purpose and is essential for homeostasis. From the single-cell organisms to the observable universe, we are all connected and equally important. We all deserve love, respect, peace, harmony, and forgiveness. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. Love conquers all.
Yes, love conquers all, that's for sure. That's why we're here. David and I, we'll get to the next part in a moment. David and I have both been on like a healing journey over a period of time, and that's kind of what brought us here. We've been through some certain things and learned some certain ways of healing along our journey. And along with ourselves and a big group of others, we're reaching out into the world, and we want to create an ability for everyone to find a way to heal if they're open and ready to. So part of this is our church is the ministry, or MOSHI. You heard us talk about MOSHI in the beginning. The Quantum Shamans presented by MOSHI. David, what does MOSHI stand for?
The Ministry of Shamanic Healing and Integration.
Fantastic. So it's the Ministry of Shamanic Healing and Integration. And so as a church, we would have a religious doctrine. And David, could you go over the religious doctrine for us?
As a religious doctrine for universal organicism, that is our religion, we embrace the interconnectedness and interdependence of all living things. We believe that all beings are part of a greater whole and that each individual has a unique role to play in the balance of the universe. We honor and respect the natural world, recognizing that it is a sacred manifestation of the divine. To achieve a deeper understanding and connection to this divine nature, we incorporate shamanism, meditation, breathwork, mindfulness, yoga, and sacred plants into our practice. These practices have been used for thousands of years to heal the body and soul and become enlightened. Shamanism is an ancient practice that involves connecting with the spirit world through ritual and ceremony. We honor the shamanic traditions of our ancestors and use them to deepen our understanding of the universe and our place within it. Through shamanic practices, we connect with the spirits of plants, animals, and ancestors to gain wisdom and guidance and healing. Meditation and mindfulness are also essential practices in our doctrine. We recognize that the mind is a powerful tool and that by focusing our thoughts and intentions, we can shape our reality. Through meditation and mindfulness, we cultivate awareness and presence, allowing us to connect with the divine within ourselves and in the world around us. Breathwork and yoga are physical practices that help us connect with our bodies and the natural world. By harnessing the power of the breath, we can release tension and negative emotions and cultivate a sense of calm and balance. Through yoga, we connect with the movements and rhythms of the natural world, bringing us closer to the divine within ourselves and the world around us. Sacred plants have been used for thousands of years to heal the body and soul and connect with the divine. We honor the wisdom of these ancient plants and incorporate them into our practice with reverence and respect. Through the use of sacred plants, we gain insight, healing, and a deeper connection to the universe and our place within it. In our doctrine of universal organicism, we recognize that all beings are interconnected and interdependent. We believe that by embracing the practices of shamanism, meditation, breathwork, mindfulness, yoga, and sacred plants, we can deepen our connection to the natural world and the divine within ourselves. We honor and respect the natural world and strive to live in harmony with it, recognizing that we are all part of a greater whole.
Amazing. I love it. I love that. I love universal organicism.
So do I.
I love just its concept alone and how it aligns with my spiritual teachings and my connections to my shamanic priesthood. It's very beautiful to me. So since we kind of went into that and talked about what we're starting here, let's talk about a little bit what our plans are. What are some of the things that we're planning to do?
So the first thing we plan on doing is opening the first healing center in the state of Ohio. There are huge medicine and healing communities in other parts of the country, and Ohio is really lacking. There's a lot of people looking for it, looking for answers, looking for a better way of life, looking for that inner peace, and someone just needed to organize it, so here we are.
Yeah. That aligns a lot with me, like something early on that happened to me in my visions. When one of my spirit guides said to me, I had like doubts and worry, and my spirit guide said to me, it said, if not now, then when? And if not you, then who? Which I've heard that before out in scripture or something. I've heard that before. But the way it came to me in that space, it really brought the awareness of, hey, I need to do this. I need to help come out and help bring healing into the world. So that's really great and really awesome. I'm super excited to be here. I'm super excited to get started with this podcast so we can reach a lot of people. I can already see and feel all these beautiful souls that will come here and work with us to be here and spread their light, spread their love. That's going to be a beautiful, beautiful thing.
The bigger our soul family gets, the more powerful we get, and that's how you change the world with love and with building a community based on love.
Yeah, love is the answer. That's always the answer. Well, since we're here on this cast, I think since we're the first two here, maybe we could share some of our stories a little bit. Talk about kind of what brought us here.
That'd be a great idea.
So what I'll do is I'll kind of be the interviewer. You can be the interviewee. And I'll just kind of ask you some questions, okay?
Sounds good.
All right. So, David, how did your healing journey begin?
My healing journey began when alcohol almost killed me several times throughout my life. The last time I just was sick and tired of feeling the way I did. I was just useless. I did the bare minimum in life to get by, and I found joy in nothing. I just was existing and not living. And I ended up in the hospital a couple of times, and that was about the end of it. I made the decision that I needed to make some changes, or else it was going to kill me. And I didn't want to die. I was just kind of living on the brink. I was kind of always testing the limits, see how far I could go.
Extremism.
Yep.
I can relate.
Yeah, I've always lived life to the extreme. I've always lived learned all the lessons the hard way.
Is there any other way?
No, there's not.
Sure.
Not to get to be where we are.
Yeah. So that's great. So I had similar things happen with me. I had a pretty bad alcohol issue going on. Most people don't really even understand why they get into using the alcohol and everything, but as you heal, you begin to realize I was just escaping. Mm-hmm. I thought I was doing something that was going to make my life, I felt like I was making my life better by getting drunk, since I didn't like it normally, is what that was. So as that happened, as that unfolded for you, what was the next steps? What did you do from there? What did you decide to change or do?
I got a little bit better job where I wasn't surrounded by as toxic of people. I've been a chef for 24 years, so the restaurant industry is notoriously toxic. It's filled with a bunch of people who need a lot of healing. Mm-hmm. And when I first quit drinking, I had brain damage. I had wet brain. I was having trouble putting together thoughts in complete sentences, and psychedelics changed all that, particularly LSD. It healed my brain and allowed me to be able to think again and put together complete sentences again, and it healed me from my addiction.
Mm-hmm. So is that where you started? It was with LSD on this journey?
Yes.
Okay, so talk about that a little bit. What was? How did that start? How did it begin? What did you do?
I set an intention to cleanse some of the negative energy that had been building up and building up and building up in my subconscious, and I took some medicine and I just sat with it, and the medicine showed me what I needed to do and what I needed to work on, and then that's when the hard work began. I changed my lifestyle, I changed the people who I were surrounding myself by, and got a support system.
Beautiful. Where did the inspiration for psychedelic treatment, where did it come from for you?
So actually, I was in Alcoholics Anonymous for a long time. That's where I first got sober. It's a great program. The basis for any recovery is breaking your old habits, old unhealthy habits, and establishing new healthy ones. That's all recovery is just breaking old habits and getting out of that mindset. And a lot of people, they break their old habits, but they are still stuck in that mindset because they have so much trauma and negative energy built up in their subconscious that it's just trapped and they can't do anything with it. And psychedelics allow you to release that energy and give it to the universe. It helps parts of your brain communicate that don't normally communicate, and creates new pathways and solves issues. It's not just a Band-Aid. It's not like taking a pill and masking symptoms. It's an actual solution.
Mm-hmm. So was it like during the 12-step program that you learned about psychedelics, or how did it come about?
I had dabbled throughout college and everything like that. But I did it. I was doing it for fun, or escapism, like I was using alcohol for. I wasn't using it to heal myself. Once you set the intention of healing yourself, it's a completely different experience. And the founders of Alcoholics Anonymous, Bill W. and Dr. Bob, part of the 12 steps is, in order to heal from your addiction, you need to have a spiritual experience. And Bill W., his spiritual experience was an LSD experience, and that cured him of his alcoholism. And before the government stepped in and banned everything in the 60s, they healed well over 1,000 people of their alcoholism with LSD. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to incorporate it into Alcoholics Anonymous before it was outlawed.
Right. So what would you say, was it like your first psychedelic experience? Did it make a big breakthrough for you and a big change right there, or did you have to go through many?
No, it was one really did it. I've done more since then, kind of as a cleanse, but the one, when I set my intentions, it was just such a powerful experience, and it brought up a lot of issues that I needed to work on. It's not a magic bullet. There's still a lot of work that has to be done on the other side. It just shows you the work that needs to be done.
Mm-hmm. We call that integration.
Yes.
Right? That's kind of a big thing missing in a lot of psychedelic treatments with people, is the integration of the medicine after.
Yes, and that's the most important part, is making sense of your experience and then having a support system to make those changes.
That's where the shamanic work begins to come in. And so, as I said before, I'm a shamanic priest, and when I first started learning about shamanism, it kind of made me nervous because just the word shaman kind of has this ring to it where it gets into your subconscious mind, and you picture something like a witch doctor or something. And it made me kind of like, I don't know if this is for me, but really what it is, it's just an ancient form of human technology. And shaman, what it really means, it derives from a Siberian tribe called the Tungus tribe. They're, as far as most shamanologists know, the beginnings of the term shamanism came from there. And at its deepest root, there's many ideas. Shamanologists kind of argue over what shaman means, but my connection to spirit and a lot of the things I've taken in, shaman simply means one who knows. One who, that kind of makes sense, right? One who knows. But these practices have been very life-altering for myself and many others, and that was kind of my next question for you. Like, when did it become aware to you that you were potentially being guided by a higher mind or being to help you move through your trouble?
So I kind of coasted through the first 4 or 5 years of my sobriety. I was still healing. My brain was still healing. I had a couple more psychedelic experiences through that helped me heal more. And but I hadn't made all the changes I needed to make. I was still surrounded with people who didn't necessarily have the best intentions or needed a lot of healing themselves. So we're all mirrors of each other. So when you're surrounded by people with toxic traits, they kind of mirror back at you. And in the right state of mind, it can show you what you need to work on, and you can grow from it. Or if you're not quite there, then you tend to take on some of those toxic traits.
Right. Yeah, because
and I was still taking on some toxic traits.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that, especially empathic people. That's kind of a common thing early in their journeys, their awareness of being empathic. When they're around other people who are heavy, the mindset will try to tell them that I can't be around these people because their heavy energy is making me heavy. I'm absorbing their energy. When really that's not what's happening. Just kind of as you were stating, being around certain types of frequency actually will wake up parts of you that are unhealed, open that up. But you're right, if you have the right mindset. So if you don't have the mindset of, hey, this is a mirror and it's all one thing, and you're looking at it like you're bad and I'm good, then you're not going to get anything from it. But what I try to help people understand is if you can be around someone that makes you feel heavy and you begin to realize that they're triggering parts of you that are unhealed, then you become free. It's realizing that triggers
are medicine.
Yeah. Yes. Triggers show us precisely where we're not free. And we can open up into that. All right. So you started to recover. The brain started to recover. You started to change. It kind of starts happening on its own, too. Like as you start to change, what isn't in alignment falls away.
Exactly. And then about 4.5, 5 years ago, I had the opportunity to start my own business. And that's really when my journey started. I started having these really good ideas, and I'm also an inventor as well. I had a catering company and a restaurant that I was running the catering company out of, and I was constantly running out of room in my cooler. I was feeding 2,500 people 5,000 meals a weekend out of my restaurant, as well as running a restaurant. And I made my cooler bigger, and it still wasn't enough. So I just thought there has to be a better way. And so I invented a product that solved that problem. It essentially doubles the room in your cooler potentially, and makes things a lot more manageable and a lot more easy to keep everything organized. And
pan stackers?
Yeah.
Is that what these are called? Yeah. Yep. I saw them. They're really cool.
So that was kind of the first hint at my awakening. I didn't realize it then. I just thought it was a great idea of my own, but there are no original ideas, I've come to find out. That was a download I got from the universe, and my guides have been working with me for a lot longer than I knew. But now I'm fully aware of that. I have a wonderful connection to my guides now, and I get a lot of wonderful ideas and information from them on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that was kind of the question I had for you. I was the same way as I started to awaken and become aware. At first, I was like, where are these ideas coming from? Like, where thoughts I've never had before. How did they get there? And that just goes into, I could go into a long story about that, about what are thoughts. Most people are unaware that thoughts are energy forms. Mm-hmm. We connect to them. We aren't actually creating them. Our vibration grabs them and pulls them to us. And our spiritual guidance system can help inject those frequencies into our space so we can have an awareness of it. Just like as you're explaining, like, yeah, of course, the ego mind always wants to say, oh, look at me.
Yeah,
I'm so
brilliant.
Smart. Oh,
yeah,
my gosh,
exactly.
Look what I did. It's so amazing. You're so good. But then your spiritual mind is like, nope, I'm just a vessel. It's just coming through me. And then when you do that, for some reason, it's actually way easier. Mm-hmm. It's way easier than the mind trying to hold on to some false idea when you're aware that you're becoming guided. When it opens up. That's what true awakening is. And I feel like, just as for you, you had to hit rock bottom. You know, that happens to a lot of people. Because the truth is rock bottom shows us things that mountaintops never can.
Yep.
Very, very powerful in that space. Where were we? What were we? I lost track of where we were at there. So you were moving into the recovery. You started your own business. You started your own business.
So that was really the catalyst for my awakening to start ramping up. Mm-hmm. And over the last 6 months or so, that's when it's really started compounding. I went through a couple of other challenging experiences, and instead of getting angry and reacting and holding resentments, I was able to forgive immediately and realized that the people involved were just very ill people, and they were mirroring their deficiencies on me. I had what they wanted, and instead of working for it themselves, they just wanted to take it from me. So when I came to that realization as quickly as I did, I mean, it was almost instantaneously. That's when my awakening really started compounding on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. It was like a couple days ago, somebody turned up the dial 1 notch, and then the next day they turned it up 3 notches, and the day after that they turned it up 6, and it just keeps coming and coming and coming. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't stop. And it was so much energy that I was getting and building up in me and I didn't know what to do with it. I was sort of aware of what was happening to me, but not fully. If I was completely unaware, I probably thought I was having a psychotic break, and I probably would have gone to the doctor and gotten diagnosed with something. Yeah. But having that awareness already, and studying shamanism, I've been helping people for years overcome their trauma and addictions, just myself, with no real structure, so to speak. But when these downloads really started ramping up and this energy started building up, it almost started feeling chaotic. And that's when you popped into my life. Anthony just kind of showed up at my door and was like, "Hey, I know what you're going through and I can help you."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, thank you."
Yeah.
I needed to give it structure, and that's what Anthony's done for me. He's been a wonderful teacher and mentor so far, and I look forward to continue learning and continue growing together.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, David. Yeah, I feel the same. Just since we've been in each other's energy field, I learn things. I'm aware that the way that my mind works and the way my shamanic gift works is I pick up energy. I pick up frequency like a downloader. I can pick it all up. So I can feel like how helpful it's been just for you to be in our space. And it's just the awareness, too, of how we've had to go through certain steps to bring us here into this space. And now here we are. Now we're creating this a podcast, which is going to reach many, many people and open up their minds and start something. So this is just a general, beautiful unfolding, and that's part of my story. I'll talk about sometime.
Yeah, let's hear your story, your journey.
Okay, well now you can be the interviewer, and I'll be the interviewee.
Yes. So, where were you, and what happened, and where are you now?
Where was I? Oh man, hell! I would tell you, I lived in hell. My life felt like hell to me most of my life. I grew up in a home. I had both of my parents growing up, but they weren't very much involved with me. Growing up, I grew up in a household where I was the only male. I had two sisters, and in my home, I kind of got abused just because I was a boy. So that started early, teaching me how to be toxically masculine. I wasn't allowed to cry and things like that. And, I went through, I wouldn't say like I had like a lot of struggles outwardly. All right, so I grew up mostly in a very abusive home with people. Like my parents, like I love them. We don't have much of a relationship now. I love them. But they weren't very loving to me, and it's only because they didn't love themselves, and this had to do with their own traumas and things like that. So that kind of started me on a road, a pathway of like a destructive behavior to the self. I didn't know how to love myself or really love people or anyone else. I found myself generally just feeling like I was thrown into this reality, and I don't know why I wanted to be here. I just was like, all right, so... I always like worked hard and did everything I could for my friends and people around me. And anyone that's known me for a long time would tell you, Tony loves you. If he loves you, he'll do anything for you. If you cross him, he'll do terrible things to you. That's kind of how it was in my past life. Yeah, it was kind of in that space. So that's kind of where my hell started. I could go through all kinds of other things I just had a lot of things kind of happen in my life, and it led me into alcoholism, which kind of led me into the drink. Both of my parents are alcoholics. My mother, much worse. My uncle, who I look up to very much, is an alcoholic. So it was kind of just normal and ingrained into my life. Kind of the idea was if you have a hard time, drink. If you want to have fun, drink. We never talked about feelings or emotions or life or deep thoughts or consciousness or anything like that in my house. So I had no idea of what those things were.
Alcohol, the cause and solution to all of life's problems.
Yeah, that's kind of what it was like. Because even when you watch TV, it looks like that, right? Mm-hmm. I was married. That was kind of disastrous. Showed me a lot of things about myself that I was unaware of. I didn't like seeing them. Led me deeper into my alcoholism. Then that led me into drug abuse. Led me into a pretty deep love affair with cocaine, which I would never take back. Cocaine, it works on me a little bit different than probably a lot of other people because in medical terms, I would be diagnosed with ADHD. Something I understand now is just neurodivergence and is actually a gift for me now, but quite powerfully against me at that time because I couldn't really focus or think, or I thought something was wrong with me. And especially when I went to a doctor and like, oh, you have ADHD, here's some speed. Mm-hmm. So then I quit using cocaine so much because now I was on legal speed. I was on amphetamine. So I kind of took that every day. I did that for about 16 years. I was on 16 years on that. And then kind of fast forward, that's when I met my current partner, Mary. Which I love her to death.
Wonderful.
She's the first person to ever. Thank you. I agree. She's the first person that ever really loved me. I think that I felt love from, and she still stuck by me. She stuck through me through a whole bunch of shit. Is really what it is. And she was just always. I'm getting a little emotional. It was always very loving to me and open to me and taught me a lot. She's like not just like my girlfriend and even younger than me. She always felt older than me to me. She always felt like more wise, which makes sense because one of her primary animal guides is an owl. And I always called her. I was like, you're like an owl lady. I used to tell her tell her.
Yeah,
that.
my wife's the same way. I wouldn't be alive without her.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing how love can, because love's the answer. Well, Mary showed up in my life. She wasn't much for alcohol, but she would pretty much babysit me. She'd go with me to the bar, and I would like frequent the bar. If I wasn't at the bar, it was because I was recovering from the hangover. That's usually kind of what it was. So 4 days a week, I go to the bar. I go there and, I treated everyone there like they were my family. Mostly, I would just spend all the money I could to bring happiness into people, not knowing I was actually poisoning them. That actually brought some guilt to me later, as you can relate to as owning a
Very
bar. So. Like, oh gosh, I'm peddling disease and death. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of a big realization. And then, so Mary started to help me change in a really big way. And then that brought me a little bit later to the beginning of my awakening. And I'd say it's been happening my whole life. I'm aware of that now. But probably the main thing that stands out to me is a series of events happened beginning in 2015. In 2015, I had something, which I didn't know at the time, that was spirit, gave me the idea to say, why don't you take a break from drinking? And I was like, well, what does that mean, take a break? I realize now it was my higher mind telling me, not saying quit, because you say quit, that creates some sort of energetic reaction to it. It's like, nah, you're just going to take a break. So I did. So I took a break. The break lasted 3.5 years. And in that time, what became introduced into my space, which I never really had any interest in, was cannabis. Cannabis came into my life. I started, it was really small. There's a really long story to that, which I won't get into, but it was God showing me, it was creation showing me that you want to use this plant medicine. And what I noticed was my ego started to disintegrate. At the time, I just called it bias because I didn't understand ego yet. I just noticed that when I smoked some weed, just a couple puffs. Like I wouldn't go like Willie Nelson, Snoop Dogg, smoke weed all day. I would usually do it after work when I come home, save my decision making, my business decisions and things, save them till after I had a couple puffs off a joint. And then what it would do is it would remove my ego, the incessant thinking defense mind. It was out of the way. And I could see things just so much better and more objectively. And from there, I just started to really grow and expand in a big way. And I just had to go through a whole bunch of other things, medical scares. My appendix exploded in 2017. That was really interesting. That opened up something inside of me that started to open up my shamanic vision. I didn't have visions really. Not too much. I've always been sensitive, but kind of ignoring it because I didn't have anyone to talk to about it.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I had this energy, always had this energy that I didn't know what to do with it, so I suppressed it with drugs and alcohol.
Yeah, like I just know things or could feel things or sense things. And, I just kind of, my friends and people around me kind of knew about this because there would just be things that happen. They kind of look at me, how do you know that? I'm like, I don't know. And just kind of leave it at there, like, let's have a drink. Yep. kind of move along from there. But that started my shamanic vision, and that's kind of leads me right into where we're at now, because in 2017, after I got back from the hospital, I was in the hospital for 3 days. It was like a massive cleanse. Like I was on IV only. I didn't eat for a few days, so it was like a fast. And I never really did that before. I do it regularly now, but never did that before. And just a lot of stuff happened. It was like I died and was reborn when I was in the hospital. And when I came home, I sat there on the couch with Mary, and I just proceeded to connect and have these visions, these feelings. And I said to her, I was like, I don't really understand this, but something's going to happen. We're going to change in this really big way, and we're going to do something that helps to change the world. I don't know what that means, but that's what's going to happen. And she just kind of looks at me, because she believes me. She believes in me. She didn't question well, what does that mean? Or she just kind of something in her knew I was telling her the truth. And then the next thing I said was, I'm going to change. I'm going to become something totally different than I am now, like a monk, like a holy man or a spiritual person, which sounded totally off the wall to me at that point because I had no spiritual friends or connections or even any real awareness of what that was at the time. I also proceed to have visions of large groups of people coming together lovingly and beginning to create a new society, beginning to create a new way of being. I seen things in my visions that were called healing house, was the word they were showing me. But they were like just these facilities, basically like what we're starting, a facility where we can bring healing into the world, you know? So that's kind of what started to really open me up there. And then moving forward, after that, after I kind of started to have these visions, a lot of stuff started to unfold in a really kind of big way. And then actually it was through a podcast that I learned about psychedelics. I dabbled with them like in high school and things like that, but never in a party mode kind of thing. But it was a Joe Rogan podcast that I happened to see. He was talking about DMT, dimethyltryptamine. And I was like, oh, wow, that's amazing. Tell me more. And he started talking about the experience and everything, and it really got my attention. It's like I could feel the energy coming through. Because I'm aware now, I could tell you that I'm fully aware that Joe Rogan, maybe, I'm not even sure how aware he is, but what he's doing is creating a healing frequency out into the world.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
I think he does know. I just think he kind of keeps it more under wraps because he doesn't want to sound woo-woo out on the air. But we're shamans and we're woo AF. So we're going to tell you about that.
Planting seeds.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. You got to plant the seeds, and sometimes it takes a long time for them to grow.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
generally, they start growing eventually.
Mm-hmm. In 2011, I was diagnosed with COPD emphysema. By 2016, I was at about 40% lung function. So I couldn't take in a deep breath like that. If I did, I'd have a coughing fit and end up with bronchitis. So I was chronically ill all the time from 2011 all the way until 2018. The doctor said by 2018, I had 30% lung function, maybe a little less. And the doctors are saying, I was asking them, can you recover from this? Is there anything I can do? And they're like, no, not really. This is a degenerative kind of disease, and, we can slow it down to give you these drugs and this and that. So that led me into a really deep level of depression and fear and anxiety. I was already, at this point, spiritually awakened enough to know that I was a spirit having a human experience. But my question was, why should I continue? I was suffering. I couldn't sleep anymore, couldn't cry, couldn't laugh. My quality of life was greatly diminished. And then I had a lot of other symptoms too, like hip arthritis that they told me I need hip replacements for, and chronic pain, hearing loss, headaches, all kinds of other stuff that I don't even want to remember now. I just want to kind of let it go. But it was at that time I had the biggest, strongest connection to spirit I ever had. I was essentially laying in my bed and I hit rock bottom, and I was wondering, why should I continue? I was kind of, not really like a gun in my mouth kind of thing, but sort of. That's kind of how it was. I was planning an exit strategy. I can get out of here. I don't need to keep doing this. And that's when this beautiful idea that I've never had before came to me. It said, why don't you try to think about things more positively? I was like, what? What does that mean? I'm a realist, man. I'm an intelligent person. I see how this world is. What do you mean? See, what does that mean? Think about things more positively. I'm dying. I can't even breathe. What does that mean? And then a new thought came in right behind that, jumped right on my back after that, and it said, maybe you don't see things as they are. Maybe you see things as you are. And that stopped me dead in my tracks. And then I started to have this reality, this realization that, oh my gosh, my perception's informing my reality. I never saw that. It's now all of a sudden, boom, I was outside. My consciousness was watching my ego. And I was like, oh, what is this? And it was in that moment, it was the most miraculous thing, the most powerful part of my healing happened right there when I became fully just acceptant of my reality as it is. I saw everything that happened, my abuse growing up, my life, everything that I thought was working against me. I saw, oh my gosh, it's working for me to bring me right here. And right there in those few moments, I started to recover mentally really quickly. Then right after that, I started to vastly recover physically. And then within about 8 months of that, this was 2018, about 8 months of that, after that happened, I was pretty much recovered from my lung disease. And a big proponent to what helped me with that is learning about breath work. One of the things that's part of our what we do here,
Yes,
and we talk
so
about.
Powerful.
Yeah, I had no idea. Like we talk about breath work. I heard about breathing. You hear about it when you're a kid. Like breathing's important, and I was a power lifter like earlier on, and I was aware of like the importance of breathing and bracing, so you don't like get a hernia, and you're actually stronger in like a single unit. But I never understood anything about it, and it just kind of popped up in my reality in a really cool way. And something told me, go with this. And I was like, well, at least it'll be good for my lungs. And when I first started, I could barely breathe. So it was really, but I just kept going. And I could feel something right away. I could feel something right away begin to shift in my mind and my body. And as I continued doing it, I got Mary into it. She started doing it. And just things started to happen. Things started to open. My awareness to energy and feeling and everything around me really started to just open and expand. I basically started to walk the path of the shaman. That started to open up within me. And through that, the people around me started to heal. Mary had some issues. She started to heal. Some of the people that were close to me, they were wondering, hey, what happened? How did you recover? Like, you were just dying like a few months ago. Last time I saw you, you were like 60 pounds heavier and you looked like you were going to die. You were gray. People were telling me, like, you kind of look kind of gray. Like, yeah, I'm not getting enough oxygen. That's what's happening. Yeah. And that just expanded in such a massive way, led me into becoming a breathwork facilitator. I wanted to share it with the world. I actually took a lot of Wim Hof training, and I was going to be a Wim Hof instructor. But that kind of fell to the wayside as shamanism popped up in my reality. A shaman by the name of Casey McBride, Paqo, showed up into my reality. And basically after we met, he told me, hey, I don't think you're aware of this, but you're a really powerful shaman and you don't know yet. And my first reaction was like, that's crazy, man. Get out of here. I don't know what you're talking about, kind of thing. But as he told me that, it was kind of like the same feelings you had, that feeling of the energy becoming chaotic. I feel chaotic or sort of manic in some sort of way, like disorganized or something like that started to happen. And that's what he pointed out to me. Like, yeah, if you don't get structure to this energy, it's going to become chaotic and you're going to have some suffering and things. It's going to force you to the path you need to go. Like, because that's the thing about the Paqo Kuna tradition. You don't find it, it finds you. Just like it found me, and now it's finding you.
Fully aware.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it finds us, is what it is.
I wasn't looking for any of this. I wasn't looking for an awakening. I wasn't looking. I mean, I've always wanted to kind of live to help people. That's always kind of been my path. I just want to help other people make their lives better. And this is just such a powerful way of doing it. And it's life-changing, and we're going to change a lot of lives.
Yeah, no doubt about it, because that's my whole drive, my whole I can't say goal, because I don't feel like there's an end to get to. Like, I don't feel like there's this goal I need to get to. I'm just driven to become, the best priest I possibly can. And I know that happens through my inner work, through my practices. I do a lot of practices. I do breath work several times a day in a really powerful way. I do cold water immersions. I do different types of yoga and stretching. And I stand on my head, and I do that. That brings blood and fluid into the pineal gland, opening up. I fast every day. I'm kind of choosy about my nutrition, and I just kind of do everything I can to try to create a vessel that's in coherence with my reality or with my environment. But that's also kind of the path of the nature mystic. As that opens up, and as you're aware now, everything's alive. Yes. Or universal organicism. Yep. Universal explains itself, the universe.
All is one.
Yeah, organicism, the understanding that all is a living organism. All is one living energy without separation. And as that realization opened up and continues, it still continues to grow all the time inside of me. I become deeper and deeper and more aware that I am all. I know that you're me and I'm you, and the couch is me and this is me and you, and and like when I say me, that's the tricky part, because the person will be me, like my personality. No, my personality is actually illusory, is what it is. That's a made up thing. The guy named Anthony that's sitting here with you, that's my personality. That's made up of my past experiences. That is not who I actually am.
Yes.
That's the ego mind. That's the thing in which I'm experiencing this idea of humanity through.
The thing that separates us.
The illusion of separation,
Yes.
right? Like that's exactly where I lead to is all is one living energy. Separation is illusory, and any ideas of illusory are just byproducts of the fallen ego mind. Ideas of separate. It needs to feel separate so it can feel validated.
Yes,
Good,
correct.
right? Like most people have no idea that who they think they are. It scares them too to think about who I am is an illusion. Yeah, but this just means that you can play any character you want.
Mm-hmm.
Once you realize you're a character in a sacred play, you can become any character you want. You don't have to be any limited anymore to who you think you are or your past experiences. This is where shamanic healing, psychedelics, all these things really start to work really well for human beings, is because, as you stated earlier, parts of your brain begin to communicate with other parts that don't normally happen because it's kind of shut off. It's almost like destimulation. I won't say almost. It is destimulation.
And then constant distractions to keep it that way. That's kind of how the world is designed.
Dopamine,
to keep us from having these awakenings. We're constantly inundated with social media and mainstream media and all these negative energies and negative frequencies. I mean, even the music we listen to. Not that I listen to, but most new music is produced at a certain frequeny that suppresses our minds.
Yeah, for a long time that's been happening. That was kind of the
People are
design.
just completely unaware of it.
So I agree with all those things. And then so my higher mind goes one step further and it sees perfection. It sees that all of these things have to happen for us to figure out who we are. Like, we've created it. We create this world, this idea of turmoil and problems or evil. Those are all things at my current level of consciousness I no longer entertain. I don't see separation. I'm non-polarized. It's not dark and light. It's heavy and light. It's all parts of one frequency, though, just in a broad spectrum.
Every part of the organism is in a different state and in a different journey, but I mean the ultimate goal is to get here.
Yep. And here we are. We probably have been. How long we been on for?
Probably about an hour.
All right. We probably could end it there. We probably could think about wrapping it up here. There might be a cut or something here.
Mm-hmm.
Where's what else would you like to say?
I'm just looking forward to seeing what's next. We've both got some really powerful guides that are really sending us in the right direction in many ways, and we're going to change the world. Mm-hmm. And I just can't wait to do it.
I love every time you say that, man. Every time you say, we're going to change the world. Because this is exactly what I've been saying since 2017. We're going to change the world. I don't know how exactly, but now I kind of know more how. I still can't see the entire end game a little bit. I know now that we're heading there and it's going to happen. I already know that. We're just going to have to experience time.
There's so much negative frequency and turmoil in the world, and you don't fight back with guns, you fight back with love.
Mm-hmm.
And you fight back with love by helping other people heal and help others expand their consciousness to feel the way we do, that sense of clarity where you can just shake off anything. Everything is an illusion.
Yeah. Why take it so serious,
Yeah, I mean, why let something wreck your day when you have no control of it and you can't change it?
Mm-hmm.
It's totally counterproductive.
Mm-hmm. And then the other side to that is helping people heal, is creating community. So
Yes.
people can come together, just like how it's already happening. Just how,
Yep.
When we're even right here in this space and this room is filled with people and we're doing breath work, or there's a meeting when we're together with a bunch of like-minded people.
One of our integration services.
Yeah, integration services. I don't know when this podcast will be out to be able to tell you when the integration service will be, but there's one coming this Sunday, and then they happen every 2 weeks.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, as of now, that could change. Some people will ask, what is integration service? Basically, just a space for people to come together and commune and be together, integrate our energy. We're sharing energy, we're sharing space, intelligent ideas. Like, it's just a totally different way of people to come together, just like this space, this kava bar, where people, that's one thing we didn't really talk about was kava.
Yeah. We'll get to that next time.
We'll get to that next time.
But yeah, it's just to commune and share energy and love and wisdom. We have a different topic every week. This week will be self-care. Last meeting, it was self-love.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody shares their experiences and what they do on a daily basis to take care of themselves and ascend.
Yeah, and then we're all sharing this medicine. So maybe you're doing something like, hey, I would like to try that.
Yes.
Oh, that sounds really
Spark
cool.
something in someone else.
Right.
That's what it's all about.
Right. It creates like a web or like an interweaving of living energy.
Yes.
I love to like
grow the mycelium.
Yeah, the mycelium. Yeah. I love it. I love it so much. Well, thank you so much, David. I'm so happy to be here and on our maiden voyage of Quantum Shamans.
Yes, we'll just get better at this from here.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens. I can feel it. I can tell and I can see it's going to be amazing. I can't wait. I guess the next thing we do is we book our first guest.
Yes. Yep.
Fantastic.
We'll have many different people on, keep sharing their healing journeys and sharing their forms of healing and what they've done to get where they are and just hopefully plant a lot of seeds and watch them grow.
Plant a seed, watch it grow. Yep, that's it. Well, I love you so much.
I love you too.
Thank you so much. High five, man. Thank you all so much. I hope you have a beautiful day.
Love you.